MichaelBtheGameGenie here, and today on this mini episode of Game Genie Review, we're going to be taking a look at the Arcade1Up Riser Booster from our friends at Buy Stuff Store. So guys, today we're taking a look at the Buy Stuff Store Riser, or as it's actually called, Riser Booster for Arcade1Up 3/4 scale home arcades. I want to say a huge thank you to Buy Stuff Store, who are a great Canadian business, for sending me out these Riser boosters for review. So today let's take a look at this great innovation from Buy Stuff Store and find out if it improves the experience on the Arcade1Up cabinets for people my height and above, and if you should pick one up and for which cab. The Buy Stuff Store here in Canada has been such a surprise in the home arcade space by not only offering products from companies previously unavailable in Canada, but by also developing innovative add-ons that enhance the experience. Typically their inventions have been for the AtGames line of products, but today we are looking at an Arcade1Up accessory called a Riser Booster. You may ask who the intended audience for such a product will be, and I would jokingly respond, anybody that isn't a little child, because as long as I've been interested in Arcade1Up, the number one complaint has always been the cabinets are too small to stand in front of. Originally the big issue was you had to crane your neck to see the screen while standing in front of the machine, while the controls were at a height reminiscent of in the arcade. Sadly for extremely tall people, this made it incredibly uncomfortable to play, and this is exactly who this product is for with the original machines. The Riser boosters come in two sizes, 4 and 6 inches, to meet your Arcade1Up height preferences for comfort and viewing angle. The boosters themselves are very easy to put together and have a super sturdy build, as we would expect nothing less from Buy Stuff Store. They also come included with custom decals you can add to try and decorate the booster to look as good as possible with the riser you were attaching it to. To use them, you simply place your Riser booster down first, you place the riser on top of the booster, and this will be a very snug fit, and then the cabinet on top of that. The Riser boosters will work with virtually every cabinet and riser Arcade1Up makes. I say virtually because there is one cabinet design they sadly won't work with, as they are designed to fit perfectly on the bottom of the riser, and the Arcade1Up stand-up racing cabs are built differently and have an opening on the bottom to fit the pedals, making the Riser booster unusable. With the centipede cabinet on the riser and the 4-inch Riser booster, the cabinet looks to be almost the same height as me, and I am 5'11". This means that while playing, I will have minimal craning of my neck to see the screen, and it will be extremely comfortable. The compromise, of course, is that the control panel is also extended an additional 4 inches, so if you were comfortable with the height of the control panel before, you will have to adjust. If you add the 6-inch Riser booster, you can now see there's a massive tower of black on the bottom of the cabinet. The great news is that this raises the cabinet up a full 6 inches, and that the additional 2 inches puts the screen almost at eye level for me at 5'11". Like I mentioned, the compromise is the control panel is now much higher, but I have to admit I don't find it uncomfortable. Playing like this reminds me of being a little kid at the arcade, eye level with the screen, but just tall enough to use the controls properly. With the traditional swan design they use for Arcade1Up through Wave 1 to 4, I never really had an issue with the height of the units, but the viewing angles did suck before they slanted the screen in Wave 3, but they were still very usable to me at 5'11". I think the 4-inch booster for my height raises cab up height-wise to a perfect level for viewing angle, but I do find the controls a little high. If you are taller than me and find the Arcade1Up cabs hard to use comfortably, I would say for the swan design 4 inches should be fine for everyone, but super tall people should consider the 6 inches. I personally never thought a Riser booster would be a necessary product until some of the more recent releases from Arcade1Up. I know Buy Stuff Store sent these out to me because I have almost everything Arcade1Up has released, but sadly one cabinet I would have loved to try this with was Big Buck Hunter, but sadly this is a cabinet I do not own. I have played Big Buck Hunter in store at the Brick and at my buddy Mike Dalton's house, and in both instances I couldn't shake the feeling that the cabinet was just short or the screen was too low in the cabinet. What is funny is that I mentioned this exact issue to Buy Stuff Store and they admitted the Riser boosters were initially made for Big Buck. But the new cabinet design, where I think these Riser boosters are more than just a comfort accessory but maybe even necessary for a comfortable standing experience, is the new legacy molds for Capcom and Midway. I think if anyone who saw my review of either cabinet after it was released would have seen the disappointment in my face caused by the two design flaws with these cabinets that unfortunately shared the same design and made each cabinet uncomfortable to play standing in front of it. The biggest, most unforgivable issue for me was a line of sight problem caused by this new form factor. As being an individual who stands at 5'11", it was almost impossible to stand in front of the cabinet and play without having the marquee cut off 25% at the top of the screen, and I am being generous with that amount because I am standing back a bit. I know this problem can be quickly rectified by sitting on a stool, and I have many, but that's not the point. I like to stand up in front of my cabs when playing fighters, and I can't comfortably here. I was planning on building my own 2-inch riser because I thought that was all I would need, but thankfully I got to check out the Buy Stuff Store riser boosters first because it would have been too small. I first tried the 4-inch riser booster with the Midway Legacy, and I immediately noticed a significant difference as I no longer needed to crane my neck the same way I did before. 4 inches allowed me to play standing in front of the cabinet and a much more comfortable viewing angle, but honestly, not perfect, as I still had to stand back from the cabinet to see the screen fully. I will also mention the slight extra height really makes the cabinet stand out and look impressive next to the traditional Arcade1Up cabs. I then tried the 6-inch riser booster with the Capcom Legacy unit and noticed all the same benefits, except the extra height now allowed me to stand closer in towards the cab and the control panel was super high. For me at 5'11", I could get by with either riser, but it was a 6-inch that let me play the most comfortably. For people taller than me, I would definitely recommend the 6-inch riser to accompany your Legacy cabinet, but I will offer a disclaimer that you may still have a slight viewing angle issue if you are extremely tall. So guys, that's my look at the Buy Stuff Store Arcade1Up Riser Booster. This is something I can certainly suggest to anybody who enjoys playing Arcade1Up cabinets but finds them a little bit short. I will say, however, they come in a little bit on the pricey side, coming in at $80 Canadian, especially seeing as how you can buy an Arcade1Up branded stool for just a couple dollars more. But if you're determined to play your arcades while standing, this is certainly the way to go. So guys, let me know in the comments, what do you think of the Buy Stuff Store Arcade1Up Riser Booster? Is this something you're interested in buying? If so, I'll leave a link to the Buy Stuff Store website in the description below. Thank you again, everybody, so much for watching. This is Michael B. the Game Genie, and I'll talk to you next time.